Hello again. It is like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I woke up and was, I don't know, my brain started working, and I had been thinking about Jeezer1, who left a comment about calling my last video rampant theory mongering, and have, that is an absolutely fair assessment, given what all the things I didn't say. So, in direct response to that, and to be more specific about something I hadn't even like touched yet, really, I think that the Siridae were what they were as a because of the skin dancers. Like, their job was to kill them. The idea of the Siridae being above the law because they have to be able to kill. If the skin dancers can be anyone, then they have to be able to kill anyone because that's who they're after. That makes a lot of sense. As far as the angels are concerned, I didn't explain that at all, and that's one of those things that over the course of a long time I've been trying to talk myself out of, and I haven't done that successfully yet. Like, there are things that don't entirely make sense. Like when Quoth is in Tarbean and he has his life saved, and he has this dream, what he thinks is a dream about being saved by a bird with giant, fiery wings. That's one of the things that doesn't. I'm not clear on um, why that makes sense yet. If I were to, like, my best guess at the moment is that if Quoth is one of these angels, reincarnated, so that he, in this time of distress, like, his power comes to life in some significant way to save him, which I think it's doing repeatedly throughout the books. Like, he keeps surviving things that other people think he shouldn't. The two explanations I can come up with is that it's his power, which in Tarbean he perceives as being a bird, versus being his own wings, his own power. Felurian's power, when he names her and he starts seeing her power in the form of wings falling behind her. So either it's his power and his wings that he's seeing, and he sort of perceives that in his fever dream to be a bird hovering over him, or he's got a guardian angel. Like, there is an angel that's taking care of him. That just doesn't sit right with me. I can't really say more about it other than the rest of it makes enough sense that I don't. I just don't doubt it personally at the moment. And so here's why. The angels are there. The descriptions of them fit people that we know so well, at least if you take them as a whole, because you have was it Emmett? He never ate meat, and he never said a harsh word. Who never spoke a harsh word, and that's Simon. Like, there's never. I went and checked, and there's never any thing. Like, the only time that there was ever any meat on the menu, it was specifically that it specified there was meat on the menu, that Simon didn't eat it. Now, that's sort of a loose connection, but there, at least I have that. And it, I'm reminded of the time that Quoth, in his head, he was talking about Simon. He says he never said anything bad about someone, just imply it, and even then, that was hard for him. Both, Quoth is, if Quoth is Andon, he's got Andon has the mask with burning eyes. His name means anger. He has the entire conversation with Pentha about his fine anger. He has. He when he's arguing with Denna about her song, he says his mouth cracked open, it felt like a furnace. Vachette says, even when you make your face a mask, your eyes, something about his eyes are still still burning, or something about his eyes. In Tarbean, the the bartender at the place where he hears Scarpy, when Scarpy's being arrested, the the guy says that he let Scarpy talk because he knew, like, what he's saying was crazy, and everyone knows that God's disfavor falls heavy on those who raise their hands to madmen. And who do we know that has a thing for crazy people? And that would be Elodin. So here, if we take this, okay, so assume that Elodin is is Telu reborn, then the theory, the story about the Telu's burning wheel, in this, Telu is the one who gets reborn. Like, he is reborn. He matures quickly. Now, Quoth doesn't grow to maturity inside of 90 days, but he is talked about as being, like, mature for his age. Like, if we sort of my way of interpreting that is that this story of Telu is sort of become myth over the course of however many years this story has been told. So it's an exaggeration of the reality that he was just mature for his age, right? And not in any sort of small way. It's in the way that Quoth is. Like, he's constantly having people see him as being older than he is. And in fact, if this is correct, then, Quoth is, thousands of years old. It's just that when he's first reborn, he doesn't remember this. At some point, the memory comes back to him. It is cold out here. So in the way that it seems to work for me is that Telu is the first. Telu is the first one to, this time he's reborn as Elodin, and at some point he regains this memory. And so now, as he's gathering his students to him through his teaching, like, as he something metaphorical in the way, or something in that story will be true, that he will, oh gosh, it's hard to think with it being so cold here. Either they'll remember on their own and come to him, or he will help them remember. And this will, this is when their powers come to their full power. It doesn't really go into detail about why they made this choice, right? So I assume that it's as a response to the skin dancers. But what we do know is that Telu says, "I hold justice foremost in my heart. So yes, I will do this thing, whatever it is." It's not laid out clearly for us, right? And then once the story is over, the Scarpy says, and they're out there in the world, meting out justice. They're punishing and rewarding as they see fit, based upon what they see. And that's something that also we see so clearly in Quoth, above any, more than anyone else. Like, it's his perspective. So we see him doing this repeatedly throughout the books, over and over again. He rewards the cobbler who gives him shoes, who's trying to do something nice for him, gifting him something because he's just looking out for somebody. And so he rewards the cobbler by leaving him money even when he didn't ask for any. He punishes people who the guy at the broken binding who tries to cheat him out of his book. He steals his pen, pens and paper, or pens and ink. And then there's Ambrose. He definitely, over and over again, Ambrose is an asshole, and he repays him. It's like, he can't stop himself. I mean, okay, maybe that's overstating it, but it's automatic. He doesn't think about it. He just, when he sees good people, he does things for them. When they do good things, he does things good for them. And anybody who is, if you're being an asshole, he repays that. He doesn't even question. He just acts. And that is, again, what like Simmons says. He's like, I imagine that's how the Siri Day used to be. or how the Emir used to be. Um, I'm sorry for changing this all around. It's just cold. So what we know of Quoth, like if that this is it his life fits in a lot of ways what we know of the angels, what little we know about them. Oh, so yeah, so apart from those guys, I suspect we don't have enough of a description to really get a good handle on any single one of them. But I think that the coincidence is a little is more than just um, is too much to be completely ignored to say that there was Dia who was burned alive but left living in the ashes of Mir Terenial, and it's a little bit, I don't know. Um, I wouldn't blame you for thinking I was going a little bit afield with it, but um, there's a fella who um, in the fire at the fishery, he saves her, and she's like, when he's talking to her afterwards, she's all upset about not having saved herself, and he's like, you would have saved yourself if I weren't there. You'd be burned perhaps, but you'd be alive. Like you would have done what you needed to do, and um, that I like that as a connection, and one of the things that I'm considering, and excuse my excitement at like having the flash of the of 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 insight about it. The story that Shem tells Quoth about the Rinta, and I I can't parse it out as well as I want to yet, but what strikes me as more of a coincidence than I can ignore is that in those descriptions she says that Usnia lives in nothing but decay, which that's another thing that I can't put down. Like Devi was also somebody who I suspected as being one of the angels because of not only her power but how fast she said she learned. If my guesses are right about who these angels are, the I think it's too much of a coincidence that the ones who fit who fit those descriptions best, my best guesses are all from different places, right? So you have these different nationalities. So Fella who's from Modeg, and you have Sim who's a Turan, um, and they're all like so Will and Sim. In fact, I think it's the folks who showed up to help him when he was trying to break into Ambrose's room. Devi shows up, and Mola, and so these are like good students. That is the group that I suspect particularly. And so besides those seven, um, seven, I forget how many there were, but so there's Telu, who I would say is Master Elodin, and there was one more. I think there were a total of 9 angels. I forget how it worked out, but then I wondered if it was if there wasn't, given like they were from so many different nationalities, that it might have been someone from Adem, like Pentha. I forget how many there were. It's been a while. I'm sorry for because it's all coming back to me, but I'm you know forgive me for I'll have to go look that one up. But so the thing I was going to say about Shame's story is that uh, she says that Usnia lives in nothing but decay, but that is that's Devi. Like, there's only one person we know who lives in nothing but decay. She lives in the slaughterhouse, and it smells bad and whatever. And I like that description too well for her, to not think that there's some explanation with the others. Like, there's going to be somebody else that we're going to have. Um, we're going to have showing those signs. So I'm not necessarily thinking that they're the same thing as the Chandrian but there's some parallel at the least, if it's not the same. You know what I mean? Like as Pat said in at the Comic-Con interview, that the story that we're hearing is not the story that we think we're hearing. That's just too much fun. It makes me smile. Thank you. Sorry for the rampant theory. I did step in that last video. I did sort of make that giant assumption that that theory is correct in going forward with that insight about the skin dancers. Like I think that it can be fleshed out more, but it's not for nothing. It's not just something I thought up yesterday. So I hope you like that. Let me know what you think. See you guys around.